Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans of AutoTalk.com, it is I, Christian Moe, again. We're going to do another Auto Talk driving review. This week, we are in the 2015 Buick Regal GS. The 2015 Buick Regal GS is not only the sportiest offering currently in the company's lineup, but it might be the best looking as well. The large waterfall grille is flanked by sharp and swooping headlights, and then we have those large silver-lined intakes in the bumper that make the nose much more aggressive. Move to the side and we have those 20-inch alloy wheels with their big Brembo brake calipers peeking out that signify this machine means business. Out back, there are angular exhaust outlets with silver trim to match the front, a handsome lip spoiler, a gapped rear splitter, and I love the silver detail that splits the taillights. If looks equaled speed, the Regal GS would be a very fast car indeed. Now the outside of the Buick Regal GS comes with lots of special GS-only features, like those big 20-inch wheels and those brakes and those bumpers and stuff, but the inside has some of those special features too. So this entire interior color, for example, it is ebony black leather, and I have black trim. The trim is kind of cool. It's not like piano black, but it's got some like texture in it, which is really kind of interesting to look at. You can see those in the pictures on the site. But the only car you can get the black on black interior with is the GS. And of course we get these GS specific seats that are super highly bolstered and really comfy, and they've got this nice little like silver contrast stitching. And you need those highly bolstered seats because this thing will handle better than it has absolutely any right to. So we talked about those GS exclusive 20-inch alloys. Well, they're wearing 255/35 rubber, which is about as wide as what you get on like the front of a 370Z. And it's wearing Pirelli P0 tires, which is something you might find on like a Porsche. So it has super sticky rubber and super huge wide wheels, and the result is you can throw it into a corner and it will just hang and hang and hang. No squealing, no nothing. You have to push this thing so fast to get it to even start to break loose. It's obscene. The reason it's obscene is because of the weight of this thing. This car weighs 4,000 pounds. To give you an idea of how much that really is, underneath the hood of this car is a 2-liter turbocharged engine, a lot like the one that was in the ATS Coupe we had a few weeks ago. And like that ATS Coupe, this engine makes 295 torques. It makes slightly less horsepower. It makes about 15 less horsepower. This one makes 260 instead of 275. So it's about the same power as the ATS Coupe. But the ATS Coupe weighs like 600 pounds less than this, as like a 3,400 pound car, and this is a 4,000 pound car. So the fact that I can throw it over an off-camber bend and it won't even make a noise at 4,000 pounds is just insane. Part of my insane grip is due to the all-wheel drive system. That gives me extra driving wheels so I can power through corners a little bit better without getting too crazy or wacky, but it also helps with the weight balance a little bit. The all-wheel drive stuff adds some weight to the back end of the car, helps even things out a little bit. So it's really sort of a fun thing to fling around. And of course, like I said, we got those huge Brembo brakes, so no matter how fast you're going, if you want to, you just stand on the pedal and you just come crashing to a halt. Man, that is forceful. Ow. It'll stop quick. It's insane. Again, 4,000 pounds, and it's just like, no, stopped. Ugh. That's almost as much fun as going around a corner. Now, if you're wondering why I'm talking about as much fun as going around a corner or the braking, it's because the other part that's supposed to make a go-fast car like this one go fast is sort of like not there. So I already mentioned it has an engine a lot like the 2-liter turbo that's in the Cadillac. So again, it's a 2-liter turbo, 259 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, and it's mated to a 6-speed auto. They do sell it with a manual. This one does not have the manual. I've got the auto. The problem is, like I said, is that weight. So with 600 more pounds than the Cadillac, this thing is much slower than the Cadillac. And like you can just feel it. Anytime you're going, like you want to stand on the pedal and you want to go faster. Part of that is the transmission. The transmission is kind of slow to respond. I can go ahead and kick it into a little manual mode, which makes it a little bit better, and it'll hold the gear all the way to red line, which is nice. But once you hit that red line, there's a huge pause between it actually wanting to shift. So we go 6,500, $7,000, and shift. It just takes longer than it should, especially said once you hit that red line. If you shift early, it'll shift a little bit quicker. But I mean, what's the point of shifting early? Then you're trying to go fast. Like, sort of defeats the whole thing. Now, the car does get even better if you want it to, as far as the handling and performance go. Up the top, I've got a sport button, and I have a GS button. The GS button tightens the steering, makes the suspension stiffer. It's got adjustable damping, so it tightens the damping up a little bit, and it just sort of makes the car feel a bit more alive. And what you learn about this machine is it is not a traditional sort of go fast car like you might expect from GM. Rather, it's much more of a machine like a Miata. And I know that seems weird to compare an all-wheel drive 4,000 pound 260 horsepower car to a Miata, but it makes a bit more sense once you get into the way you actually have to drive this thing. Like I said, it has power, but not a ton of it, not enough for the weight. But it has those really sticky tires, that nice suspension, the good steering, and the hellacious brakes. Excuse me. So what this is this is actually a momentum car. So it takes you a little bit of time to get to speed, but once you're at speed, you can hold that speed. So just like a Miata's not about acceleration, it's about never having to slow down for a corner. And that's sort of how this works. You have to slow down a little bit, because again, it is still 4,000 pounds. But you slow down only a little bit so that nearly 300 pounds of torque you have on tap can sort of boost you back up to speed when you come out of the other side of a corner. And so that's what you have to sort of do with this. Maintain as much momentum as possible, and then use it as a bit of a point and squirt. So late brake, I mean super late, just give it a quick dab, cut a bit of speed off, jerk into that line. The car doesn't understeer nearly as bad as you think it should. So cut your line in, hold that sharp line, and as soon as you cross that apex, just stand on the gas pedal and let that torque carry you out the other side with the all-wheel drive system, keeping things in check to make sure you don't slide off into nowhere. So if you can handle it that way, this is a really, really fun thing to drive. You do run into some problems though. So with those huge 20-inch tires with super sticky rubber and a turbocharged engine that is constantly on boost, fuel economy kind of suffers a lot. Now, according to Buick, this thing will do 19 miles per gallon in the city and 27 miles per gallon on the highway. I'm getting just around 19 and a half combined. And when I first got the car at the beginning of the week, I was really, really trying to push it. And I was only seeing about 16. So it's thirsty. Really, really thirsty. And I realized if I kept the GS button turned off and I kept it out of boost, I would probably do a lot better, especially on a highway drive like this. But that kind of defeats the whole purpose of buying the GS Go Super Fast Woohoo Sport model if you don't actually drive it that way. Like I talked about, when you hit that GS button, you get better steering, you get better suspension dampening, the throttle's a bit quickened, like the whole car just feels so much more alive. And it's like, why would you get rid of that sensation just to save a little bit of gas money? Like, if you wanted to save gas, you shouldn't have bought the super go fast version to start with. Just buy the regular Regal. So, like I said, woohoo, go fast. Suspension is great. The brakes are great. The steering is pretty good for being an electric system. There's a lot of nice weight to it. Like I said, those brakes. God, those brakes. Ugh, those brakes are so good. So if you stop driving it like you're an idiot, it does sort of convert into general Buick mode. I've got a nice big Bose Stereo that doesn't sound the best because, like most Bose systems, it's pretty bass heavy, but it sounds pretty good. A lot of nice volume. If you set the settings just right, you can get it to clean up a bit and cut some of that boom off. And it's an okay sounding stereo. I have a huge 8-inch screen up here to handle all the infotainment stuff. I have a huge 8-inch screen in the dash that gives me all of my display info. When I hit the GS button, it changes and gives me a huge radial speedo with a big G-force bubble in the middle to tell me how hard I'm turning left, right, or braking or stopping. It's really cool. So, like, I've got basically 2 iPad minis in the dash, so that's cool. Said the stereo sounds all right. Excuse me. Comfort and ergonomics is actually really awesome. Like I said, I think that these seats are great. The steering wheel, it telescopes, it tilts. I got just the right seating position I wanted, just the right steering position. I like the armrests. They're just the right height that you don't have to let go of the wheel and to keep your arms propped. So if you're on a long highway cruise, you can still hold on to the wheel. You don't have to like drop one arm down low or anything stupid. Everything is within easy reach. I've got 2 big knobs for tuning the radio, which I love. The only thing that sort of sucks is cubby spaces. There's like no storage inside of this car. And for a car that's a Buick, it's supposed to be comfy and you can take on road trips. That's insanity to me. So let's say you want to stop at a gas station, pick up some snacks for your road trip. Well, here in the front, I've got a 12-volt power outlet and a tiny little cubby that will maybe hold 2 packs of gum. Then here I have 2 small cup holders. I have a change tray. And then underneath this, I have a tiny little box that is about, I don't know, 4 inches by 6 inches and maybe 5 inches deep, so you can't really put much in there. The door pocket is big enough to hold a bottle of water, but it won't really hold like a large Gatorade. And if you have that large Gatorade that you've like wedged in there, you can basically fit like a bag of M&Ms inside that pocket, and that's it, you're done. So you've got 2 door pockets that are too tiny, a glove box that is way too small, and like that's it. There's no little storage up here. There's no sunglass holder, like nothing. There's basically some places to put some pens and that's it. And it's the same story for the back seat. The back seats have, I mean, it's a male flap for a door pocket. And then if you fold down the center seat, it becomes an armrest with 2 cup holders and a tiny little tray that's like, I mean, it's maybe 6 inches by 8 inches. It's a pretty big tray, but it's only about 1 inch deep. So again, it's good for some pens, maybe a tiny coloring book. Like that's it. So if you want to take this thing on a road trip, make sure you have some sort of storage system, bags, tubs, I don't know, something. But there's no places for you to put things in the car. If you can get over that, though, the rest of the interior is all right. Got a nice sunroof. The leather looks and feels good. I like the black on the dash. I like all the metal trim. So I've got real metal here on the door pole and metal on the steering wheel. Got chrome door handles that get all covered in fingerprints and I have to wipe them off constantly. But they're still nice to have the real chrome. Like, a lot of those good sort of luxury features. And it gives you all of it for a pretty decent price. So this thing, as it sits, is just a hair under $45,000. Now, that makes it about the same price as the Genesis sedan that I had last week. And I gotta say, this isn't as quick in a straight line as that Genesis sedan, again, because it's a 4,000-pound fat machine. But I like basically everything else about this better. It isn't as big. I'll give you that. And I miss having the nice wood on the dash. Like, otherwise, this is great. I think this is fun. The suspension is tight enough that I don't get sick when I drive it anywhere, but it still soaks up bumps pretty good. I mean, you feel what's happening on the road. It's not just going to smooth out all the bumps, but it's never punishing. Like, they're never harsh bumps. You just sort of have, like, bump. There you go. That's it. It's just kind of a bump. You feel it, but it's not uncomfortable, and you continue on your way. And that's what I prefer in a suspension system. Steering, no real, like, feedback through it, like in the good old days of actual manual and power steering stuff. But for an electric system, it's pretty good. Weighting is awesome. You know, it's very precise. The car always goes right where you think it will when you point the wheel. So I dig that. So there's a lot of good stuff to love about this car. Overall, I'm not 100% sure I would buy one of these because I loved the hell out of that ATS coupe, which is just a prettier, faster version of this without all-wheel drive, which I dig. But the way this thing handles just boggles my mind. And I could understand why somebody would want one. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, if you are looking at a vehicle in this class and you have your eyes on a Regal GS and your real question is it good enough to pay money for? I'm going to say unequivocally yes. This is definitely good enough to pay real money for, but make sure you dump the auto and get the 6-speed. I know that you might be a little bit older or that you've got kids or that you think your life will be super terrible if you have to shift for yourself, but I promise you it won't. If you haven't driven a manual transmission in the last 5 or 10 years, they've gotten a lot better. Clutches are not super heavy, shifting is not real hard, and if you're in traffic, guess what? You don't have to stand on the clutch the whole time. You can put that damn thing in neutral. It's worth it if you're looking at this car. Take the sacrifice for whatever problems you think might come from getting a manual and buy the manual. This car will be better for it, I can promise you that. And the biggest thing is that engine. The car feels slow. It feels way slower than it should be considering the handling performance. But if you have the manual transmission to give you a little something else to do, it makes the whole experience more engaging and it makes the whole experience a little more fun. So the fact that you're a little slower than your buddy in his Cadillac doesn't matter anymore. And that's the secret of something like this with a manual, is it adds just enough more fun and involvement that the fact that it's a little bit slower ceases to matter. So anyways, once again, guys, I'm Christian Moe. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a driving review for AutoTalk.com. And again, we are in the 2015 Buick Regal GS with the automatic. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you hated this video, please give me a thumbs down. And then whichever you decide, go ahead and get down to those comments below and tell us what you liked and what you didn't. I want to make these things better for all you guys out there, and I can't do that unless I know what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. So if you'll please help me figure that out, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, I appreciate it. If you didn't enjoy it, well, I still thank you for watching, and I'll try better next time. Once again, I'm Christian Moe for AutoTalk.com, and I will see you guys next week.